Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Anthony Truglio of Liege Lord. Honor to have this man on here.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I think it's post 12 o'clock here, so good afternoon. Nice to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Man, it's an honor.
Definite honor for you to be here.
I mean, for real, it's an honor. Yeah,
Thank
huge
you
fan of Liege Lord. Love it.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
And I'm Jacy, by the way.
Jacy, pleasure to meet you, man.
Sweet.
I do all the recording and stuff for
All right, cool.
Steven, his band.
And you played the bass.
Plays the bass, yeah.
Awesome. Did JC plan the stuff I heard?
Yep, he got. Yep.
Great. Sounds great, man.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.
I love your shirt, man. My kid, you know, he's on it right now with all, you know, we're shut down school-wise, so that's the only kind of communication he has is with this. I go in there and he's obsessed with Star Wars, so he's got all these Star Wars like games on the Xbox and stuff. And
Yep.
unlike us, like I'm older than you guys, but like, you know, I'd be on my bike throwing rocks through people's windows and stuff.
I hear you, brother. So, small world, we were talking, man. I was born in Connecticut. Small world, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in Stamford. I was in New Haven. Yep.
It's good you got out of here because the taxes are way too high, man. So.
Oh, really?
Very
I hear you.
expensive.
I've got it spoiled down here in Georgia.
I know. You know, a friend of mine just moved down to Atlanta. He's like, get the hell out of Connecticut, man. It's too expensive. And what's the weather like there right now?
It's pretty cold.
Is it cold?
Chilly. It's 30-something degrees right now.
It's pretty cold down here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's pretty. Took the dog out this morning, and I'm like, damn.
I hear you, brother.
Right.
I hear you, brother. And we were talking about pizza, man. New Haven's your favorite.
Well, you know, I think, you know, they consider New Haven like the pizza capital of the United States.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's
Wow.
got, you know, you've got like, if you look it up you can look it up online. There's quite a few really good places. I like Modern, Sally's. Pepe's is the one that kind of franchised. I went to a couple other places. You remember those places, Steven?
I don't remember them. Remember them.
Pepe's has been around for a long time, but they're, you know, it's just a lot of great pizza up there.
Sweet.
Yeah, I definitely want to go up up to like New York and Connecticut and all that one day and just try all that pizza that all you guys talk about.
You know, you guys, you keep in mind Ellis Island is the port that, you know, post World War II, all those Italians came in and they you know they know how to cook. That's all my mom did she lived in the kitchen. And a lot of these, they opened up pizza places. A lot of them went to New Haven. So New Haven's a very cool city, by the way. Steven, you haven't been there in a while, have you?
Not in a while, brother. Not in a while.
It's got more of an art scene, music. It's definitely cooler than the town I live in. And the food is fantastic. You got a lot of different cultures, not just pizza, but like really cool stuff. Different, you know, some breweries up that way. It's definitely a cool place.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you guys come into town, and hopefully we all, you know, all this stuff gets lifted. I'll take you out for pizza, whatever you guys need, man.
Man, it would be an honor.
I would love that.
It would be an honor,
Awesome.
brother. That would be an honor, man. And like we were talking, man, it would be an honor, like for real though, it'd be a massive honor, man, for us to open up for you guys, Liege Lord, sometime,
Listen,
man.
man, you know, it sucks not playing, right? I mean, we can't really do anything right now. It's awful.
Right.
And you know, from what I'm hearing, we might not be playing live. A good friend of mine, I was in a band called Helmet. My friend Paige, I was talking to him last night, and they're, you know, promoters are reluctant to book even into 2021 right now. So in Europe,
Right.
You know, we're in uncharted waters. You know, no one knows what's going on.
Right. I hear you, brother.
Well, the good news is the storm will pass eventually.
Definitely, we'll get through this, man.
Absolutely.
This is the strongest country in the world, and we will weather the storm and come out thumbs up. You know.
Absolutely, brother.
Absolutely.
Yep. Tell us the origins of Liege Lord, brother.
So, my cousin was the drummer on all three records, and he, a year older than me. He went, you know, after we were in this. Him and I went to this like private Catholic school. He got out before me. He's a year older, and he got into the public high school. And he was like, "Wait till you come here next year. All these dudes play." And we're talking about 1980, 79, 80.
Right.
And it was hard to find, we got into metal early on. We started, we obviously the classic rock stuff, Hendrix, Zeppelin, The Who, UFO, then Priest and Maiden and all that stuff. But it was such a hard, it's almost like people frowned upon it back then. It was like,
right.
devil worshiper, all this stupid crap,
Right.
And my cousin met Matt, who is in the band, still today. Him and I are writing. We've been best friends since high school. And, we started off playing, the three of us would start jamming. We'd play Priest tunes, Maiden songs. We'd play some Michael Schenker, some UFO.
Mm-hmm.
We started playing probably everything you guys, that was available that we loved at that point. And then, what's the hardest thing to find? A singer.
Right.
And
definitely.
So we started writing, and we went through a couple singers. We found Andy, who sang on the first two albums, went through a couple different guitar players. We got to the point where we were playing all covers, and it was like 50% original, 50% covers. And it got to the point where we started writing so much that we just stopped playing covers, and, hitting a little bit of the scene that there was around here. We branched out, started going to New York. New Haven was pretty cool. There's a couple places up north. There's Twilight Zone, Hartford, had the Agora, but we got into like Jersey, Long Island, had those little sectors, little metal places that we could play. Did a lot of shows, just playing out the whole first album. We were playing it out for probably about a year before we put out Freedom's Rise.
Sweet.
And
Sweet.
like I said, we went through first. We had Pete McCarthy's on the first album. Pete, we're trying to go a little heavier, and Pete wasn't into it. He split, and we found Paul. And Paul stayed with us for the next two albums.
Sweet.
Okay.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome.
Well, tell us what it was like recording albums back in the 80s.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You got I think back at how green. First we did a demo. First thing we did was we did a 4-song demo that Metal Forces got a hold of. A couple magazines gave us pretty good, reviews on it. And, so that was, I think that was the second time we were ever in the studios when we did our demo. The first time I think we went and recorded, I think we did Flight of Icarus. I can't remember which Priest tune for gigs, right? And we did one original that it was like the only time we ever recorded that song, because I don't know what happened to it. It just got voted out. So we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We let the engineers tell us in and out in a couple hours. The demo, we got a little more hip to recording, miking, a 17, 18-year-old kid going in, you just stick the mic in front. We learned about all these different miking techniques. So we were really green, and we just trusted engineers to do stuff. But keep in mind, there had never been metal bands in any of these studios we went to back then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this was a whole different thing, and these guys weren't quite sure how to get that good distorted sound. It was a lot of fun. I fell in love with it from the first time I went in. I'm like, this is cool. And keep in mind, it was all analog back then, right? Digital wasn't a thing in '83, and it was all tape machines, and still love it, man. Steven, I know you guys record, right? It's so great to take the ideas in your head and listen back to them.
Yep.
So, from there, we sent Mark from Jag Panzer. We sent him a copy of our tape.
Yeah.
And, he got us in touch with Dave Richards, who owned Ironworks Records, very small label. Mark told us, listen, no money. He'll print a few thousand copies. So we did a deal with him. We sent it to Europe to a label called Black Dragon, because we were friends with Christian from Savage Grace. He helped us introduce us to them, and then we got we had a company in Canada called Bonsai that we got. So we got our own deals. It was just a bunch of knucklehead kids doing business, looking at contracts, figure out.
I love it.
If someone had an uncle or someone that was a lawyer, we just let them look at it, and that was just naive. And then luckily we got we got a Metal Blade after our first album, Metal Blade. We were friends with Fate's Warning. Jim put in a good word for us with Brian, and Brian signed us for 2 albums.
Nice.
So,
yeah, that is awesome, man. That is so awesome, man.
Definitely.
Man, and you know what? Hey, by the way, on Master Control, Was that you who wrote? I'm just thinking that one lead part that wow wow
that was
oh, okay. Oh man.
In a sense, you guys know, like, someone writes something, but everyone kind of contributes. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like to be a family affair with the song. It's like 5 people, and I think everybody should get some type of credit on all the songs. You know, I played in a band in New York post Liege Lord, and the singer, he gave me a great quote. He's like, you know, the band can't show up in a limo and a drummer showing up with a bicycle to the gig. You know, it's like you gotta everyone's gotta kind of
Exactly.
get together, man. It's a family thing. You know,
Exactly.
whatever comes in, split it 4 or 5 ways. That's the way it should be. You know.
That's exactly right. Exactly. Give credit to work. Absolutely, man. Yeah. And I mean, and you're a founding member, of course. You know.
Yeah, man. You know, Matt, myself, and my cousin, Frank, who was the drummer. We just kept it going, man. People, you know, metal kind of had this, you know, stay away kind of thing in 82, 83. People were afraid, man. It was like, oh, this stuff's, you know, and you know, if you think about, we weren't that heavy. I mean, the stuff going on in San Francisco, that whole thrash stuff is like, and even around here, man, we'd play with like Overkill or Anthrax. Those guys were heavier than us, and some of their fans weren't down. You know, they didn't kind of get. It's funny because they always loved Maiden, but you know, they weren't so warm with us at first, you know, because we weren't super thrash, you know. Right.
Like yeah. Kill 'Em All was 1983. Yep. Oh, I hear you, brother. Like, okay, so what's the band you guys played with?
Oh, like afterwards? Oh, you mean Liege Lord?
Yep.
So you guys probably know there was a club in Brooklyn called L'Amour's. L'Amour's was like you know, everyone played there. I mean, I've seen, except Yngwie, Slayer, you know, it was when bands were on tour, this is where they went. You know, this was the place. And, you know, the home bands were Overkill, Anthrax. So, you know, we would open for Anthrax a couple times, for Overkill. You know, whoever they would, I mean, we played there so many times. Raven, Savatage. You know, early on, we got to play with a lot of cool bands. And some of the guys were, you know, the guys in Raven, nice, played with them a few times. They're the nicest guys in the world, man. They were, you know, just really, really cool. You know, you meet some really nice people and you meet some not so lukewarm people when you're playing, you know? Right. But we were able to play with Sacred Reich before they blew up, you know, in Arizona. We were friends with, so, you know, funny thing, like when we put out the first album, the only way to communicate was through fan mail. So Matt had his address on the back of the album. So, you know, one of the first guys to write us after Freedom's Rise was Jason Newsted. Jason was a fan of Matt's bass playing, and we became friends with Jason, you know. So we went out to Arizona. We did a weekend with Sacred Reich out there before they, you know, put any, you know, those guys were great. Any type of records. I don't even know if they had a demo of it back then, you know. Toured with Anvil, toured with Candlemass. Nice. We did a lot of playing, man. We worked as hard as we could. We never turned anything down, you know. Just played with anyone. If we got offered a gig, no matter how far, wherever it was, we did our best to get there. Yep. Oh man, that's so cool, man.
That's the way we're going to be too. Sometime this year, hopefully, we'll be able to start playing somewhere.
It's one of the things I miss most is live, you know, and that's kind of what I do outside of teaching guitar. You know, I play jazz also, and I do private parties. I do, and there's nothing, man. I mean, I did one gig before Christmas. I did a country club, like they just wanted background jazz music, but that's it, man. You know, New Year's Eve, I've been playing a steady gig for the past 8 years in New York City. Everything's shut down. New York's like super shut down, so there's no place. I know you guys probably miss playing, right? It's just like it's part of what we do. Outside of writing music, it's like you want to perform and get up on that stage and go crazy and have fun.
Exactly, brother. Yeah. Well, you had mentioned jazz, dude. Have you heard of John Scofield?
Of course.
Man, you know what's crazy, brother? My dad went to school with him, man.
He's, you know, to me, that those guys are like the legends. I mean, the guy played with Miles Davis, and he's actually up in Pound Ridge, and the cool thing about Schofield and Warren Haynes from Allman Brothers,
Right.
they live around here. So, we have a theater called the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York, which is about 20 minutes from here. And whenever certain guitar players come into town, chances are one of those guys is going to show up and jam with them. So that's cool. Tell your dad that I'm sure he was a great dude when he went to school, because he seems to be super humble, and what a monster on guitar, man.
Oh, right. Yeah, he said he was always really nice. Yeah, really humble guy. Yeah. And he said he was always better than everyone back then, of course.
I'm sure. To play with the legends, the greats that he did, you don't get in there being mediocre. I mean, that guy's like at the top of the food chain as far as guitar players go.
Right. Signature guitars, the whole works. Yeah. Right.
So, Master Controller, I really love that album.
That's my favorite, of the bunch.
Tone in that, especially your lead tone. Like, can you remember what kind of amps you were using?
Oh, I still have it.
Yeah.
So do you know, we were friends with Metal Church, especially David Wayne, who, what a great guy he was, man. And when they were in New York, we were hanging out, having some beers, and he's like, you guys got to he's like, your sound has to come up a little bit. It's got to go up another level. And he's like, why don't you use our friend Terry Date? And we're like, okay, we love the way their album sounded. So Terry, they were from Seattle, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we got in touch with Terry, and he agreed to do Master Control. We flew him in, and we at the time we were endorsed by Randall. We had those Randall amps like Dimebag had. They were transistor.
Nice.
Yeah.
But when we brought him to the studio, Terry was like, He's like, who's got Marshalls? I said, well, I have one. He said, go out and get all your Marshalls. And it's my 70-something Marshall. It's still not, I wanted it to be bigger, but you guys know when you're working on, back then you were working on a budget that the label gave you, and you do the deal with the studio, and it's like, you want to spend more time getting tones, but there's not enough money, because studio time back then, it's like toilet paper. You never had enough. You know what I mean? It's just like, but those are, that's all like 70s Marshalls and stuff, those mid 70s JMPs. I still have my 74 JMP.
Sweet. That's what I'm talking about.
That's
Yeah, that is awesome, man.
Were you using these amps? Did they have like the internal reverb in them, or was you?
No. Those. So if you go back to the history of Marshall, these are just one channel amps. It's kind of all the classic sounds, Maiden, Priest. If you listen, that's what those amps were. They were JMPs. They were old Marshalls, and they were just stock. You had to turn them up and hit them hard. Turn it up, and it's just basically the distortion from the tubes. No pedals back. No reverb too. I think you probably could have gotten, but there was no reverb. It was just like basically, you had your master volume, your gain, bass, treble, mids, presence. I think that's all those amps had.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sweet. Man, heck yeah.
Yeah, I'd heard about that, about how the Marshalls, you gotta like really crank them to get that distortion.
The 50 watt ones are cool because you turn them all the way up, and I got turned on because as a kid I loved Michael Schenker.
Right.
And I would read, he's 50 watt Marshalls, turn them all the way up. And I love that sound, because that's what I was playing to as a kid. I was playing the UFO albums to learn pre-stuff. So that's what we're trying to get, but we were also at that, if you listen, there's that period where we were at, and even after, the guitar tones started getting bigger and fatter, unfortunately we broke up, but, that was the transition period to where, all those tones you did Pantera, and as a matter of fact, Cowboys from Hell, Terry Date brought Pantera to Stamford, Connecticut to record at the studio that we recorded because he liked it so much.
What?
Wow.
That is awesome. I would say that's my favorite Pantera album. Yeah, Cowboys.
I listened to that on my walk the other day. Probably, that probably is at the top of the list for them.
Yep. So, like, who's your favorite guitarist, man?
Oh, that's a hard question. So, what really got me into guitar was, my sister was 14 years older than me, and when she split from the house. She left me all of her records. And in there, all the classic rock, Zeppelin, Hendrix, The Who, the Beatles. I mean, I love the Beatles. But I still have her Are You Experienced by Hendrix. And when I put that on as a kid, I played the accordion for a couple of years. I heard Hendrix and I was like, it was like lightning hit. So I'm always going to go with him. But as far as, it's so hard because I love, I love Hendrix, but growing up, I got into metal. I started loving Tipton and KK, Dave Murray, Adrian Smith, those, Michael Schenker. And then, one of the most underrated guys in the world, who I think is the inventor of shred, was Uli from the Scorpions. I mean, you listen to the early stuff, man. What I think he kind of changed the game a little bit, with the way he was playing. All those guys were great, but then I remember hearing those early Scorpions album, and I'm like, what is going on, man? This dude's going. He's tasty, he's fast, he's bluesy. It's everything in one, It's like, oh,
right.
Yeah. He's up there, man. He was pretty cool in that genre. But I also love, I love blues players. I love Albert King, Freddie King. Baby was great, and jazz guys, Wes Montgomery. Grant Greenaway. It's so hard to like pick one. It's like food, man. There's so many different great styles of food. Same thing with guitar.
Right.
It's like someone.
Exactly. Yeah. You got your like a buffet, man.
Exactly. I love listening to them all, so it's hard for me to say. But I'd say influential to me is always going to be Jimi Hendrix.
Gotcha.
That was a guy that the feedback and the searing solos. I mean, to me, that was like that gave me the hair on my arm stood up whenever I put on like Voodoo Child or something.
Right. Yeah. I hear you, brother.
All right. Well, now something I'm curious about. I don't know if it's a sore subject or not, but what happened after your third album? I mean, what happened after that?
A lot of confusion. We originally got it. We had a 2-album deal with Metal Blade. After we put out Master Control, we played so much to promote that album. The first pressing sold out when we were on tour. We were doing in stores and there's no albums there. Being on the road, not making any money. We really worked really hard. And then we got offered, I think it was an 8-album deal from Metal Blade. It was kind of like what a lot of bands signed, like I know the Goo Goo Dolls, back then they were like kind of punky, they signed that album. I don't know if you followed what happened. There's some legal stuff going on with it. And we looked at it and it we're at a crossroads. Matt was going through something, everybody was kind of going in separate directions. And Matt to me is like my brother in the band. When he called me and said, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And then I said, listen, if you're not doing it, then I'm not doing it. I kind of,
right.
And we broke up the band. It was just the decision of, having full-time jobs, trying to do this on our spare time and knowing that we were never, it was just going to be, for love, because there was never going to be any kind of reward. A lot of decisions, you know what I mean? It was a lot. Matt's dad was going through some battles with cancer.
Oh, man.
I mean, do I regret it? Yeah, of course. As you looking back, we had, it was like a family. I missed, and we rehearsed every night. That everything's, we got rid of our studio. Everything just kind of like ended. So I think it's kids being confused and not knowing what to do. So that.
Right.
Well, would you have done it differently knowing what you know now?
I think so. I think, some of the stuff we were writing back then too, everybody we're going in different directions too. We were listening to a lot of different stuff. So it wasn't, maybe it might have been, if we did put an album out, it might have not been right for the time,
Yeah.
But what do they say? Hindsight's always the best vision, right? I mean, yeah, I would have definitely I would have probably tried to convince Matt to, let's give it another couple of years. Come on, man, let's have some fun.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, I'd say there's always a little regret, but in a sense, it sent me down a different path. I started going back because I went to college for music. It sent me down and I started studying more jazz. I started getting into the blues, and at that point, you know, Stevie Ray Vaughan came into my life. So it was like,
oh yeah.
well, you know,
Yeah.
so I think it was an educational experience for me. It helped to mold who I am at 54 as a guitar player. You know, a little bit of everything. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Right.
I'll tell you what though, I know one thing for sure. You, Anthony, my friend, can rip on guitar.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So can you, man. Your stuff sounds fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Pat yourself on the back.
Oh, thank you, man. Man, I appreciate that. But dude, so I remember you telling me, man, with Paladin, man, Nate is a buddy of mine, dude, the drummer, you know, and I remember you guys playing in Chicago. You know, with them.
Thirsty. What the hell was the name of the venue? I can't think of the. Oh, I can't remember what the name of the venue was. We've been to Chicago about 3 or 4 times.
Sweet.
I can't remember the name of the place we played there. Chicago's great. Is he still out there?
Paladin is actually here with us in Atlanta. But yeah, he's a buddy of mine. But yeah, I remember you saying you liked Paladin and everything.
They were cool, man. They were very cool.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. They're cool. They're cool. Yeah.
Give them regards. High five.
Sweet. Yeah, they can definitely rip all right, man. Yeah.
So what is Liege Lord up to nowadays?
Yeah, what you guys up to?
So, you know, after a long hiatus, I think, you know, Joe played Wacken in 2000. Matt wasn't ready to do it, so I didn't do it. So Joe got his buddy Sebastian, who was in Anvil and Overkill, with him. He put some players together to go out there. And, you know, I think around 2011, 2012, you know, we were getting offers to play. You know, there's a wonderful little scene going on in Europe, man. Greece, Germany. You know, Oliver, who does Keep It True. I don't know if you guys have ever. Do you know that festival?
I don't.
Okay. Oliver asked us to headline one of the festivals. And
What?
So we did that in 2013. I think we were out there 2012 or 2013. So we put the band together, man. It was all, you know, going back and relearning this stuff. And we slowly, I mean, it's taken us forever. We've got a lot of new music, and I think it's pretty darn good. So we're demoing it. You know, we're recording parts, sending it back and forth. And, you know, hopefully, I'd like to think that by sometime at the end of the year, hopefully we can get something out, you know?
Awesome.
Oh, yeah, that's really cool.
I would love to put something out and be able to go play, you know? I mean, there's great albums coming out now. I know, like, our buddies Hitman put out a great album. Good friends, Armored Saint, they put out a fantastic album. I want to put it out and go play. It's like, yes, I want to put it out, but like, I want to tour. I want to go play some shows.
Right.
So we did right. We wrote, that's what we're up to, man. We got a fantastic lineup. We've got, you know, me, Matt, Joe, who sang on Master Control. We've got a phenomenal guitar player named Danny Wacker out of New Jersey. Danny's helping bring the stuff together. And, you know, we've gone through 2 drummers since we got back together. One is Frank Gilchrist, who's in Riot. Frank's been at Virgin Steel. He's been, and we're so lucky that we have Van Williams from Nevermore playing with us now. Who's you know, last year's shows we went to Germany. We went to Greece with Germany. We went to Greece. You know, I feel so lucky. It's just it's a wonderful brotherhood that the band has. Everyone's friends. There's no egos.
Yep.
So you'll hear some new stuff. It's pretty heavy. It's in vein of Master Control, I'd like to think, you know, because that's when I write metal, it sounds like 80s power metal. That's what
nice. Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love Master Control, dude. I got it in the car. I crank it, man. You know how it is, man.
I wish we do. You know, we've had a deal with. We've been offered a Metal Blade wants to put a box set out, a Little Liege Lord 3, and they want to license our first album because that's the only album we own. You know, when Metal Blade owns the 2 albums we did with them, and they want to do this package deal and put our demos in there. So Joe's like trying to get all that stuff worked out. You know, it's taken a while, but I hope so, you know, that sees the light of day just to get Master Control out there. You know, because when people ask me for a copy of it, I've got 2 discs. I've got one original. I got the European Roadrunner, and I've got the original Metal Blade. So I literally have to burn copies and give them to my friends or my students when they want to hear it. I wish I had like 100 I could just give to everyone, you know. But
right. Yeah. Man, that's so cool, man. Like, golly, that's so cool, man. you have no idea how much we appreciate you being on here. Like, I mean, you have no idea.
It's my pleasure. It's totally. I do a few interviews here and there, and people are interested. I love meeting great people, man. And you send me your music, and I was like, damn, fantastic. You know.
Oh, thank you, man. I really. You have no idea how much I appreciate that coming from you, the master.
The Henry-Kern Show would like to thank our friends. Kruse Effects, Slip Trick Records, Pick World Guitar Picks, and of course, Nebulous Music Studios in Royston, Georgia.